If you're looking to get the most out of your club head speed, there's two things that you have to make sure that you're doing. First and foremost is we have to make sure that we're striking it in the sweet spot. We actually have a great graphic here that Ping provided us that shows where the hot spot is on the face. And you're going to notice that the hot spot on the face is actually a little bit toward the toe and a little bit higher on the face. The reason for this is that the toe of the club is moving a little bit faster than the center of the face. It can be moving up to 7% faster. So if I'm swinging this club 100 miles per hour from the center of the face, the toe of my club could be moving 107 miles per hour. Now, we don't want to hit it way out here on the toe because then the face will twist and it won't transfer as much energy to the golf ball. So if we go just a little bit toward the toe, that's going to allow you to get a little bit more club head speed, and it's not going to lose that good sweet spot. And we also want to hit it a little bit higher on the face because what that will help you do is reduce the spin on the drive, and that can help you to launch it further as well. So if I hit it a little bit higher on the face, what will happen is this face will actually twist up a little bit, and then the ball, you can kind of imagine it's rolling down the face. That's not really what's happening, but that's what's kind of happening. It's something that's called gear effect. So can you imagine this ball and the club face, it's like a gear system, and it's gearing down the face. Now that's reducing the amount of backspin that's going on the ball, and that's going to help it to carry further and roll out more. Now, number two is we want to be hitting up on the ball. We alluded to earlier that hitting it a little bit higher on the face reduces that spin and helps it carry further and roll out more. Well, hitting up on the ball kind of does the same thing. It's almost like hitting a topspin forehand in tennis. If I have a tennis racket here and I'm coming in, I'm hitting up on it, right? And I have my tennis racket kind of angled down, that's going to allow me to get it up over the net and dive when it gets over the net. Now, we don't really want to put topspin on the golf ball, but we have this sensation when we're hitting the golf ball, that's going to reduce the amount of backspin, and again, that's going to help the ball carry further and roll out more once it hits. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to hit a shot where I try to miss it in the center of the face. I don't try to hit it, I try to miss-hit it. I'm actually going to try to hit down on it so that we can see the kind of numbers that we're getting. And then I'm going to try to take another swing. I'm going to actually try to swing a little bit slower and see if we can get the ball to go a lot further when we hit the ball more in the center of the face and we actually hit up on it. So here we go. Let's hit one. All right, so that one there, I definitely caught off the heel. I'm using my Dr. Scholl's Odor X foot powder spray here. No endorsement there. We've just found this to be the best one that works to see the marks on the face. So you can clearly see here that strike was on the heel, and you can see my angle of attack was down 1.3. My distance was only 244 on that. If I'm swinging 108 miles per hour, I should be getting about 2.6 yards for every mile per hour that I hit. That can be a little bit more or less depending on the conditions, but general conditions here on the flight scope, 108 miles per hour should yield about 280 total distance. You can see my total distance there was only 244 yards. And my spin was way up because I hit down on it. So what we want to do is we want to get that strike in the center of the face or even a little bit high and on the toe, and we want to get that angle of attack more upward to lower that spin so that way it can carry further and run out further. So let's talk about how we would do that. To get that angle attack higher up on, or get that angle attack to be more up into the ball, like I said, we want to have that sensation like we are hitting a top spin forehand in tennis. So we want to have that same sensation. A good visual that I like to have is I like to imagine like there's a tee, and you can actually do this on the driving range as well as a drill. I like to imagine that there's a tee in the ground about a foot behind the golf ball and a little bit toward me. Because if I'm swinging this club from the inside, I don't want to visualize that tee away from me. I want to visualize it a little bit more toward me. So about a foot behind the ball and just sticking just barely up out of the ground. Now I want to imagine I'm coming in and I'm clipping that tee out of the ground and then hitting up into the ball. That's going to allow me to get that more upward angle of attack. Now with our setup, what we want to make sure that we're doing is we're playing this ball more forward in my stance. If I'm playing this ball back in my stance, I'm going to tend to want to hit down on it. So I want to play this ball more off of my lead shoulder, and that's going to allow me to more easily have that visual of clipping that tee up behind the ball. I also want to make sure that I'm teeing the ball up high enough. And if I'm just barely teeing it up out of the ground, it's going to be very difficult for me to hit up on it. There's just not enough space underneath the ground. So I like to imagine that about half of the ball, this is probably a little bit more than that, you can even do more than that, but about half of the ball or a little bit more is above the crown of the club. So that's what we want to imagine to allow us to get more up on the ball. We want to make sure that we're keeping our head behind it and we're clipping that tee out of the ground and then hitting up into the ball there. Now, to get the strike in the center of the face, you may or may not have issues with this, but there's a good chance that you do if you are feeling vibration in the face. If you're feeling vibration in that handle, you're feeling this handle twist in your hand, there's a good chance you're mishitting it. Now this one, I hit off the heel of the club. You can see my strike was right there. I felt a lot of vibration in the handle when I hit that, and then I also felt like this club was kind of twisting counterclockwise in my hand. For a left-handed golfer, it'd be the other way, and for a toe strike, it would be kind of a clockwise feeling. So if you're feeling that, there's a good chance that you're hitting it off center. So I'd get some foot power spray it on the face, and just kind of get a sense for where your tendency is to hit it in the face, and then exaggerate the opposite, right? So let's say your tendency is to hit this heel strike. So what I'd want you to do is to imagine that you're hitting up on the ball here, but you're hitting it on the toe. I'd try to go as extreme on the toe as you can, and if you're still having issues with that, then I would do a drill like placing a ball. If I'm struggling with heel strikes, what I'd do is I'd place a ball maybe on the outside of my ball here to make sure that I'm kind of avoiding that ball on the outside and hitting the ball on the inside. It's going to kind of trick your brain a little bit to get that to the inside. And then it'd be the opposite if you were struggling with toe strikes. If you're struggling with toe strikes, you could put a ball on the inside here, and that can kind of trick your brain to force you to kind of get the club more out toward the ball to get that strike more in the center of the face. So a couple tricks that you can do there to make that a little bit easier to get that ball in the center of the face and hit up on it. So let's try to hit this one. Let's try to get this more in the center of the face, and let's try to get more up on the ball, and let's see what kind of numbers we get with that. All right, so that one there I was able to hit solid. As I mentioned, the number one key to getting the most out of your club head speed is hitting the ball more in the sweet spot. As you can see, this one here, almost dead center in the sweet spot. I actually got it a hair toward the toe, which got me just a little bit more speed. Didn't quite get it up on the face very much. I could have lowered my spin a little bit, but I'm very, very happy with that. If you look, club head speed, 105, less than it was before, and my distance, 278, which is 34 or so more yards. I can't exactly remember how far that one was before, but 30 plus yards of extra distance just by virtue of hitting it more in the center of the face, then also getting my attack angle to be more up on the ball. Last time we were down on the ball a little bit. This one's up on the ball 7.3 degrees. And that got my spin to be around 2,400. That's pretty good. That's about the tour average for RPMs a spin with the driver. Now, I could have got it to be a little bit lower had I hit it a little bit higher on the face, but I'm very, very happy with that 2,400 RPMs a spin. Now, you may have tried a lot of this stuff before. You've tried hitting up on the ball. You know you're hitting it in the center of the face, but you're still not getting the distance that you want out of the driver. If that is the case, most likely is or I can tell you almost with certainty what's going on, is that you're coming down steep in the start of the downswing. This makes it incredibly difficult to get that club to work up into the ball and to also get it in the center of the face. You see, when you're coming down steep, when this club is more in a vertical position, what you're going to tend to do is you're going to either pull these hands to the left, and this club's going to continue to work out that way, and what's going to happen is you're going to tend to hit the ball off the toe, and then you're going to tend to also kind of chop down into the ball when you do that. Now, what some people do, better players who come down steep, will actually tend to make a compensation to get this club to swing more from the inside. And what will happen is they'll stand up, see the hands will move more up like this, and then you'll actually have to flip at the ball, which adds loft, and that kind of takes away the whole point of hitting up on the ball if you're adding a lot of loft. And then what will also happen is you'll tend to move the hands out toward the ball, and you'll tend to hit a lot of heel strikes. So if that sounds like what's going on to you, you're going to want to check out the next bonus video where Clay Ballard, the founder of Top Speed Golf, is going to go over our anti-roll method. In the anti-roll method, we talk about how we want to get this club shallowing out as soon as possible in the start of the downswing. If we can get this club shallow out, get this butt into the club pointing more outside the golf ball, now I don't have to make any compensations. I can get this club to work nicely from the inside and hit up on the ball. I can have a lot of control of this club head through impact and be able to hit that ball more in the center of the face like I did there. So if you want to check out this video, all you have to do is stick around to see the bonus of a preview of it. But if you want to see the whole video, all you have to do is click the iCard that's going to appear up in the top of your screen. Or if you don't see the iCard, no worries, just go below the video and you'll see a link in the description. Play well, and I'll talk to you soon.
Here's the bottom line. If you've been taught to roll the club in the early downswing, that causes the shaft to get steep. And that steep club causes all your problems. It causes you to hit it way behind the big hitters and way inconsistent with your quality of strikes. So you're in the tall grass and the trees and the hazards all day long. Now the great news is this. There's really only two pieces that you need to know to fix all these problems. The first one is we need to learn the proper way to square up the club face. Instead of rolling the forearms and getting steep, there's another way that the pros do this. Once you learn this right way to square up the club face, then you can shallow out from the inside and everything starts to fit together. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the anti-roll method. You may also hear this called the motorcycle move or the tour twist, but let's walk through exactly how to do that. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and go kind of in the last parallel in the downswing. So here, I want my hips to go ahead and be opening up. I want my club to be parallel with the ground, and I want my hands to be in front of my right thigh. Now, when I take my grip, you're going to notice that when I do this, the club face is basically straight up and down. So if I'm looking at it from this angle, you'll see the face is straight up and down, and my logo of my glove is pointed out in front of me. Now from there,